Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of DealerPod. This is a podcast where we talk to motor trade industry experts nationwide and find out about their businesses and gain any insights they may have to help you with your car sales operation. My name is Stephen. My co-hosts today are Scott and Martin, and our guest today is David Applegarth from David James Limited. Hi, David. How are you doing? You okay?
Very good, Stephen. Hi, Scott, Martin.
Hiya.
How are you doing?
Very good, thanks.
Where are you at the moment, David?
I'm just on holiday in Majorca. If you managed to drag us in from the Aperol Spritz, I've actually brought one just back to the desk here, just while we're participating in this chin wag.
Yeah, very good.
David, before we start, can I just ask, where did the name David James come from? Because obviously that's not your full name, is it?
It's not. Long story short, when we first set up David James, we were importing a lot of trucks from the Far East, from Thailand, but that business always had a bit of a shelf life because the trucks were going to run out, currencies and stuff there as well.
Right.
So what we were doing, we found some of the time is we're importing all these cars back to the UK before we got paid for them. So at that point, we thought it'd be better off setting up a retail operation whereby we could sell the cars ourselves rather than pass them on to somebody else who then made 4 or 5K a unit, for argument's sake, which was the profit at that time. So rather than call it Applegarth's at the time, my son and my wife's family name is James.
Right.
So that's where, and obviously Stephen, who's Joanne's dad, was in the business with me at that time. And obviously his name is Stephen James, so that's where the David James came from.
Makes sense. Right.
Many moons ago, 17 years ago.
Wow.
So, David, can you just start with telling me a little bit more about you and how you got started, just to expand on what you were saying there?
Yeah, I mean, my background was Reg Vardy's back in the day. I worked for Reg Vardy's for 5 years. Again, I was introduced into the motor trade by my father-in-law, but it was one of those sorts of things whereby I stood around a lot during the day and thought, I need to be doing a bit more. I kind of started come to me. I need to be, whether or not it was trading cars, doing something. I couldn't just sit still behind a desk every day. So I went into partnership with my father-in-law. We, like I said, we had a business whereby we were importing all the trucks from the Far East in Thailand and stuff. And then, we started David James up and we started selling cars via David James, all the trucks, some of the other imported cars and stuff there as well. But we quickly found out that, when we're selling some of these cars, because some of the specs were different and stuff there as well, and we'd take in part exchanges and we'd sell the part exchanges, and then it ultimately just led back to back to my roots of selling used cars, and that's what we did. And I mean, the business, in the early days, we're selling cars at like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. That was our sort of max there now. But things have progressed. I sort of have an appetite for sort of nice cars and stuff there as well. And I think, the most expensive car we just sold 2 weeks ago was a Porsche Turbo at 170K. So we've gone really up in the prices there now. Retail really anything from, I guess our price point, anything from sort of 30K up to 100K. That's where we are.
Mm-hmm. And how are you finding it at the minute, David?
It's all right. This month's a bit chewy. I've looked back through sort of accounts of and examples of what we've done in 23 and 22, and there always seems to drop off a little bit this month. I think it's holiday period and stuff there as well. But yeah, we're doing all right. I would say numbers are down a little bit, but the profit's still there on the cars, which is the main thing.
Well,
I think the same for us.
So is it just the one site you've got at the moment, David? Is it?
It is, yeah. We have David James, which is on Front Street in Benton. We have a preparation centre, which is just down the road, literally a mile down the road, which is basically actually a service centre. We have 5 technicians in there. And then we've just opened another unit, which is Unit 15, within the same industrial estate. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be more of a standalone preparation side where the car, it works better. It wasn't going to be that, but it was going to be a an overflow site for additional storage of cars. But we ended up putting a couple of ramps in there, and now what basically happens is the cars arrive to Unit 15, they go in there, they get pre-sale checked, they get cleaned in Unit 15, and then it acts as an overflow. So it can hold, it's a 5,500 square foot unit. So we've got capacity to put another 30 odd cars in there if we need to, with space outside as well. So that just lifts us up to probably at any one time. I think today we've got 111 cars in stock, with 73 capability on AutoTrader. It just means that we've got pipeline cars coming all the time. So one sells, one goes off, the next one comes up the road and stuff like that.
Yeah. You mentioned there, obviously, you've got over 100 cars in stock, but you only put, what did you say, 73 on AutoTrader? Is that because just the pipeline of trying to get cars through the workshop then, or?
Yeah, I think it's just from what we've grown with. And I think, as you know, from AutoTrader, is that you'll set up with 65 and then you get whatever it is, 10% plus a little bit free. Or whatever it was. Our number was just 73. It will go up, but I think, we've gone from sort of 64 to 73 recently. I think probably in the next 6 months, it'll go up to 83, 85, advertised at any one time. But how we sort of work it is the second a car has a deposit on it, that car is then removed from sale and the fresh car is advertised. It's policed quite well, as you understand. So we have sort of a vehicle progressor which works in the business there as well. And as soon as a deposit is taken, he's sort of notified in a group chat, and he knows then that car then has to be pulled, it has to go down the road, and a fresh face has to come up. Don't get us wrong, the cars are all photographed, ready to go. So literally, as soon as it's just deposited on, it's literally a case of just taking that car off the site and bringing a fresh face up. So literally at any one time, I think David James can hold 60, 65 cars he's on the forecourt. So from my point of view, I don't want to see a car sat in the forecourt which is sold. It's just a waste of space. It's just I might as well have that down the road straight away. Plus, there's less risk of it getting damaged, scratched, marked, whatever it is. Someone coming in on a night, stand on the roof or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's which has happened before, but
Oh, really?
yeah. Well, I think we had a guy about a couple of years ago. I don't know whether or not don't know if he'd been on the spice or whatever it was, but he started running across a couple of roofs on the floor. Started running across the roofs on a couple of cars on the forecourt, and then started. I think he was fighting with the front door or something, thinking he was Karate Kid or something on the cameras. But it's we've been lucky. We haven't had any other problems apart from that.
Is the plan, David, to have all your cars prepped on the forecourt, so they're like service prepped and MOT'd, ready to be like driven away? Are you at that stage? Is that what the intention is?
In an ideal world, I think it would be, but also I'm conscious of the fact there that, I've got 5 technicians, with a service manager down the road there, and it does worry me sometimes that, are we busy enough on the service side to warrant prepping all my cars? Because then we'll get sort of a lull for, shall we say, in December or something, and I've got the lads painting the floors or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's so we're trying to have a balance. We're just trying and manage it as and when we can. In an ideal world, that would be the case. And I think the busier we get with the service side, is that hopefully will end up happening. But if it doesn't happen, I guess it's a nice place to be in. I don't know about you, Scott, there, but it's I think if all the cars are sat in the forecourt prepped and I've got the guys standing around, it's just I'm almost buying cars to try and keep them busy. Do you know what I mean? Which is
we've been chasing that dream for about 3 or 4 years, and trying to get everything prepping on the forecourt. And we set up the new little site, and we've increased the stock level, so we've never been able to get to that goal where it would be nice to have them stand around at one point, because we've always got cars for them to prep. So then what happens is when you sell the cars, they're prepping the sold cars before the ones where you're trying to get down through the backlog. And it's just a vicious circle. It seems to just go around in circles. And then because we've got the other workshop similar to yourself with the doing retail work, that's busy, and then they tend to look after any cars which come back, which what develop faults for warranty work and so on. But the hope would be to try and get everything prepped, because then if you're looking for parts for cars where they're on back order, you've got a bit of a head start and so on. So that's always what we're trying to do.
Yeah, well, every car that comes into us, as soon as it arrives, goes and gets like a pre-delivery check, and that's basically whereby all those things are ironed out. So if a seatbelt's smashed or something, or if the centre armrest goes all the way up and it doesn't retract back down at that point.
Yeah.
Those things are identified, and then again it's diarised for the guys to get that car in over anything else. To be fair with you, because it's hard enough to get somebody to your forecourt. The last thing you want to do is to get somebody to your forecourt and then they walk in and say, "I've sat the car, but the seat height adjuster doesn't work on the seat or something like that."
Yeah.
They start picking everything else, don't they? They start then looking down for more faults as opposed to the positives on it.
That's it. That's exactly right. So that's why we do it that way. But it's at least then if things are if we find a fault on a car, parts can be organised or ordered, and then the car can be diarised to go in a week's time, whatever it is. So at least it keeps things like that to a minimum. But it's always the other thing there as well is the wheels, the paint and stuff there as well, and that's what holds us back delivering cars as well. As we face the daily struggle.
I think sorry, go on, Scott.
I think a lot of the trade they put like an MOT on the car and think, right, we've got 12 months MOT, that's good enough. Even supermarkets and some of the big independent, big dealers and that, and it's not good enough sometimes because the MOT is very limited. Actually, on things what can go wrong, like you're saying, seatbelt adjusters and things like heated seats, or does the seat actually work? The electric motor on the seat, the DAB, does it change channel? There's loads of those things where we've been caught out over the years where you've just got to do extra inspection checks just to try and eliminate everything, really, because you just don't want the car coming back.
Yeah, and I think that's where the likes of DeaLaway comes in for us, because we do have a cut-off, and I know, I don't really get involved with the guy. I mean, I guess from my point of view, the sales lads know to put the car on DeaLaway, and our sort of parameters are if the car's sort of 6 or 7 years old, if it's got 70,000 miles on, the car goes on DeaLaway. Sometimes we maybe give cars away. I know you guys both have bought them from us there. Sometimes maybe we could sort of ring that car out a little bit. Could we send it down the road? Could we prep it? But I guess, we just we do well out the cars that we have, and we just
you've set your stall out, haven't you, for the criteria that you want to sell to?
It is, and I mean, I'll give you an example. The other day we sold a Q5. Car came in 70,000 miles, 67 plate Q5, 78,000 miles or whatever it is. I think we spent, it was $1,000 prepping that car. Now, would somebody else have spent $1,000 prepping that car? What I should have done is I should have put it on DealerWay when it came in. I should have been disciplined with it rather than being greedy because I had a good spec on it. I should have just put it on DealerWay and traded it away. There's nothing wrong with the car. It was just mechanical, sort of serviceable sort of work that needed to be done. We shouldn't have sold it. It sat around for a while. We sold it, didn't make a lot of money on it, whereas somebody else might have just stuck an MOT on that car and sent it on its way.
What were you doing with those cars before you were putting them on DealerWay, David? If you don't mind us asking.
Again, same as everybody else. We didn't really buy into the trade underwriting thing.
Right.
Again, we did do the odd car on trade underwriting and stuff there as well. The odd car went to BCA. The odd car might come to the auctions, but ultimately it was local traders who would just come round and, we've all been there. I'll buy all your cars. I'll buy all your cars until you give them something they don't fancy, and then I'll buy the next one. I'll buy the next one. Just cherry picking cars, and then all of a sudden we'd sit there with 5 or 6 cars around us. What's happening?
Yeah, you can't do anything with.
Yeah, what's happening with that trader in it? I doesn't want that. He doesn't want that.
Well, I've been on the other end of that before in the past, where I'm like, I'll buy all your cars, and you've got your foot in the door somewhere, and you almost feel obliged that you have to buy the car, even though you don't want to. So it's a funny one, isn't it?
Have you found, David? Have you found with the obviously the groups, so the app's coming soon, but the group, have you found that you're getting more money for your cars by putting them on there?
Yeah, without a shadow of doubt, yeah.
What would that compare to cap? Because I know you look at cap quite a lot.
We do, yeah. I guess, should I say I'm old-fashioned? I am old-fashioned because we still use cap to value cars, but I guess it's just as a guide, and I guess I'm stuck in my ways a little bit. We sort of thought about cancelling this year because ultimately how we're buying cars there now has no reflection on cap. We're buying them off AutoTrader. But we, the guys still use it. I guess it's a safety net. It's the sort of go-to when it comes to a value. So the lads will still bounce cap off me when it comes to the values. But ultimately, even you and I had a conversation a while ago, Scott, with how do the guys value their cars without sort of me having to be involved in every single conversation. And the guys do use Portal now, in building just a margin for themselves through DealerWay, and it works for us, So it's I think the big thing that we found through DealerWay is the fact that not many people say I have an only caps at 10 grand.
Yeah.
It's just, will I get the bid from somebody? But it's that cap figure thing is gone now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that message, we kind of washed that out from the early stages, because there's a few people who were talking about cap and would said, like, even when you used to buy cars from auctions, if you use cap, you probably wouldn't be able to buy a car or run a business. So I think there's so many dealers up and down the UK use the AutoTrader as a better guide. Do you feel that when you put the cars on, sometimes they sell too fast? Where you think, was that too cheap?
Yeah, quite often.
Yeah, when me and you were falling on.
When I see you saying down to me, Stephen, I think that was too cheap.
Yeah, I found that when I put my cars on, sometimes they'll be like, oh, I'm second in line. I want to be third in line. If it falls through, and you get loads of pings on your phone, you think, what if that car's too cheap? Which obviously, when we're talking about the app where you could put a car into an auction for, like, I don't know, 24 hours or whatever, it's given everybody a fair chance to see it, which is the plan.
That's right. That's right there as well. And one big thing from my point of view as well is that we get a lot, and I'm sure you guys do, we'll get a lot of messages from traders that turn around and say, seen the car on the app, will you take 12 grand? And it's up for 14 grand.
Yeah.
And now I've said to the guys there now, if somebody messages on the app, through a message, just tell them to put it in the timeline, because it generates the auction fever. Do you know what I mean? It's just been 12 grand. I'll give 12.2. I'll give 12.4. And then someone says down to me 13.5 or something. Do you know what I mean? So that's one thing I'm looking forward to with the app, because there's even though I don't get involved in the cars on DealerWay, is that I get the messages all the time saying, seen the car on DealerWay, we take 12 grand, 2 grand less than it's up for, or something, or it caps at 12 grand. Will you not do 12 grand? It's just,
I like it when you've got it for like 14 and then you get a bid of 12, and then you flick onto your post on the group and somebody's already said down to me and it's sold. Then you have to go back and say it's sold. And they're a little bit like, or sometimes, I put some of the cheaper cars on and they'll bid you like 100 quid less, and you think, and then it'll sell to somebody else, and you've lost that car for 100 quid. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, it's just the way people, I suppose everybody's got their own bids or how much they want to pay for a car. A lot of it will be to do with distance and transport and things like that, I suppose.
Yeah.
With our part exchange values, David, we brought in a thing. I don't know if I told you, we just brought in the WhatsApp group. So all the salesmen are in the WhatsApp group. We use a template which is pretty much identical to what we use for the DealerWay group. And they put all the figures in. So we use myself and the two buyers. So if it was a weekend, a Saturday, we're not in, and they're getting part exchange valuations or coming in, put in all the AutoTrader retail figures, the part X figures, they put in all the damage, photographs of the car, and we can value a car in like seconds. And the sales lads have said, especially the ones who work, the main dealers, when they've had to say, oh, we've had to, to get a valuation, we've had to go and track down the business manager or the sales manager who was on the phone or was too busy. And that process could be like half an hour trying to get a bid, where the WhatsApp group, what we've done, it's worked really well, to be fair.
Yeah, well, we do the same. It's
thing,
obviously, the lads will send me the pictures if they're unsure. Again, they value a lot of the cars themselves there now, but ultimately do the similar sort of thing. Just this morning, one of the guys sent me a car he was unsure of, sent us a picture of the car, sent us the cap value, sent us a motorway value, sent us a portal value, and then they know they're carrying out their checks. He's got 2 keys, he's got history. I just rely on them do that themselves as a matter of course, and I'll just text them back. It's 20 grand or something like that, or 22 grand. Do you know what I mean?
So have you got dedicated car buyers then, David?
I've got 2 buyers, yeah.
Right. So they're full-time buying cars for you?
Just ask reception. Full-time, yeah. Sorry, my laptop's just zapped with the talking, so I'm just going to try and find it. Actually, I know where a charger is, so it's just wait for my son to come back with the charger if it goes off. But yeah, that's what they're doing full-time.
All right, that's good.
And do you find, do you ever buy anything from the auction anymore?
No.
Not for years?
Never. not for probably 10 years.
What
So
turned
where are you buying your
was it,
stuff from?
was it the quality of car? Why you don't go to the auction, or was it the service from the auction, or?
I just think we changed our buying profile over 10 years ago, and it's just we bought. Well, I guess up until sort of a year ago, all of our cars, 100% of our cars, were all bought privately. The thing is, there now, the motorway are all over the place. Sell my car on the motorway value. So ultimately, I couldn't fill the business now with solely buying cars privately, just because, again, people advertise through motorway because they offer crazy values and stuff. So, cars, because I've done it for so long there now, my phone might ring 3 or 4 times a week with people who have bought cars off from the past. Will you deal with my brother? Will you deal with my uncle? Such and such and such. So, we managed to get, we might manage to get 4 or 5 cars a week doing it that way. Again, people come in to see us where we are on the road because of how long we've been there for and stuff there as well. The odd car I might buy from motorway if you can buy, but that's a collection of places like that. But I don't even look on the auctions. It's just I just don't want to buy cars from auctions. It's just not what we're doing.
And how much you felt a month? Roughly
60.
about 60.
Yeah,
So
we're
you
buying
replace 60 a month.
Yeah. Don't get us wrong, part exchanges. We'll get quite a few
Yeah.
part exchanges in. And the stuff that we sell there again is that, if we're selling, a 60 grand car, the chances are the man's going to have a 40 grand part exchange or something like that, or a 30 grand part exchange that we can have a go again, with. So are we buying 40 odd cars a month? Or probably that's
Yeah.
We've noticed the cars what you put in the group, David, they're all good part exchanges at a nice price. Like some of them are going in for 8 to 10,000 or 12,000, which doesn't fit your business parameter. Which is good for the group because it's given a bit more variation. Because sometimes we feel with the group there's a lot of cheaper cars going, where traders, rather than send them to the auction for the Part X direct sticker, the cars don't particularly do very well. They put them on the group. So I think we'll be encouraging more dealers like yourself, like larger independents with more quality stock to go on there, I think.
Yeah. It's like I said, I know sometimes I probably give cars away and I think, I shouldn't do it. I should ring them out. But I just think, that ultimately my sort of goal for going forward is that we'll increase value again. Maybe we'll go, the cheapest car might be 30 grand, the cheapest car might be 40 grand. And I think if you're selling the car at 100 grand and you've got the 59.99 car there as well, it just, in my eyes, it just lowers my credibility. I mean, I know
kills it.
I think so. I mean, I know, don't get us wrong, I'm not going to have a picture full of Porsche turbos at 170k, but I think if the man that looks at the Porsche, I mean, one of the guys who bought the Porsche turbo, he was dealing with one of my guys, and he actually said to the guy, does this car exist, or is this trying to make your website look better? And that was one of the comments from one of the guys. As it happens, we didn't sell it to him because he was an arsehole. So it's somebody really nice. Good. we switched him off. It's all of a nice person, but it just shows there's appetite there for those cars. And I guess from our point of view, we've been nervous, shall we say, about selling cars at 80, 90, 100 grand.
Yeah.
We struggle. Have we got the right sort of setup? Have we got the right, people on board to sell that sort of car? And that was always one of my big worries. But especially with the turntable, how the pictures are taken, we're passionate about. It works for us, and that's where I want it to be.
Do you looks good, mate?
It does. It looks good.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you deliver many cars, David?
Yeah, we do, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I know you and I, Scott, have had this conversation there before, and how many people are within the local area. And I think you were telling me at the time that 80% of your customers
are local.
Are local. I would say we're 50-50.
Really?
Yeah.
We try not to deliver. If somebody used to ring up and said, will you deliver this car? Because I'm not buying it if you don't. We would look at the car, but our price range car, I think we started about 5,000 or 6,000 and go to probably about 35 or 40. So it's a different price bracket. But to deliver the car, but what we tend to find is the customers will still come to us. We've got the deal with the hotel where we put them up in the hotel. So that was quite a good move, and that worked well. But yeah, the thought of delivering with fuel and transport costs and all that, even if you're charging the customer, it's just when something goes wrong on a car, it's just a bit of a pain because you're trying to find local garages in the area where they live to try and rectify the fault.
It's a total life. In fairness, I can count on one hand how many rejections. Can you hear me all right if I just move to here with it?
Yeah, fine.
I've lost them for a little bit. It's interesting what he's saying there about not selling like a $6,000 car alongside a 130
Oh,
grand
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about the initial. As soon as the customer walks through the door, what they're physically seeing.
We did
Like,
when we price bracket, we used to have the cars, like I was saying, from say 4,000 up to 35. So the guy who's buying the £35,000 car, you look and go, "What are you doing with that Toyota Igo for £4,000?" Or vice versa. If somebody came for the Igo and they'd seen you had a 35 grand car in, they would look at that and say it was
perception.
totally good.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll pause it and then we'll come back to him when he's ready. And we're back. We lost David there. Anyone know where we were up to?
We're just talking about deliveries.
Deliveries, yeah.
So how you finding, obviously, with deliveries? Are you dealing with the distance selling? How do you manage to incorporate all that into it?
Yeah, I was just saying. I mean, in fairness, we very, very seldom get caught with a problem on a distance sale. We just literally had an issue a couple of days ago, just when I've been away. One of the guys sold the car. I don't know whether or not his wife's got in his head when he's got the car back. But he probably said himself that had he seen the car in the forecourt, he wouldn't have bought it. So, I mean, the expense he's gone to get the car sent down to him. But yeah, again, he's sort of put his hand in his pocket to get the car brought back up as well there, you know. I can honestly count on the one hand how many sort of rejections we've had in the last 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, that do you think that would be the same for someone selling like a $6,000 car though? I think maybe in your sort of area, it's a bit different, isn't it?
It is, Stephen, but at the same time there as well is that maybe somebody buying a $6,000 car thinks I bought a $6,000 car, it's going to have a mark here, it's going to have a mark there, whereas, you know,
you obviously don't sell $6,000 cars, David.
So, you know, from our point of view, well, that's what they expect them like ours there as well. You know, expect it to be brand spanking new. It's trying to make somebody understand that is used, albeit, you know, the best example of the one that you know that they're going to get. You know, that's the difficulty with it. But we get more and more and more, and again, I think we get more and more people that will ring up and say, "Look, I've got I'm not happy with this. I do have a right to hand it back." Even like, you know, 2 and 3 months down the line, you know, and it's again a case of just sort of sitting them down. What's actually the problem? Well, there's not a problem with the car. I love the car. It's just this is what the issue is, and it does become a hassle when you've got to try and find dealers down where they are and trusted dealers that will look after the car and fix it, hopefully in a cost-effective way.
Yeah. It would be nice if some of the DealerWay group members could help with that in the future as well, wouldn't it? Who've got
Definitely.
workshops.
Without a shadow of doubt.
I think we should have a little network put together.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
It would help. It would help. Yeah, it would help.
Just touching on that, is there any, you know, obviously cars that break down and what have you? Is there any cars that you avoid massively?
To buy?
Yeah.
Land Rover.
Aye.
I do it to myself. What I do is I end up having 4 or 5 Land Rover product in stock, and then I get well and truly raped off them and swear I'm never going to do it to myself again. And then 6 months go by, I go 4 or 5 now again.
And you look at the margin
punishment.
You look at the margin opportunity in them, don't you? Think, oh well, I get $6,000, $7,000 across that. But the problem is, you need $5,000 to fix it and put it right, don't you?
They all come back. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They all come back. And it's just that's one of the hard things there as well, especially if you're dealing with people all out throughout the country there as well, is that you're just worried that you're going to get that phone call from that person. There's a problem. Where's the car going to go? What are we going to do? And in some instances,
we were talking about this morning, they are just very problematic for they have like cameras going off and central, you know, locks going off, engine faults and DBFs and daft electrical things with parking sensors. I think they're just the build quality is so bad, but because they're a nice luxurious car with a bit of road presence, they're obviously very popular, and there's thousands of them on the roads.
Correct.
But it is we often have the conversation thinking, well, we're going to try and not necessarily stay away, but try and box a bit clever on the ones that we're going to actually buy in. But I mean, we had a Jaguar E-Pace 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's only done 14,000 miles, and the steering rack failed on it. when we're driving it in. And the car, it had just turned 3-year-old. But there's no point in ringing Jaguar, Land Rover and saying, this, surely you should build your cars better. They don't want to know. They're just not interested,
They're not interested. They're not interested. We've had all sorts of things. We've had 14,000-mile cars just out of manufacturer's warranty, or bearings and stuff gone, turbos gone on cars. And don't get us wrong, we've had some form of goodwill if a car's got full Land Rover service history and stuff there as well. But they're a headache. They're the worst brand out of everything we sell, But
I think they've created, who we speak to, who do the parts for us. So saying this to Ben earlier, says, what do they say then? Are they embarrassed by the brand where they work for them and say, what are they? And they just kind of, they agree. They say, well, this part's on back order, they're not coming through. They've always got stacks of parts on back order where you can't get. And it's a difficult brand. They were saying this morning they thought Mercedes was much better now. They used to have problem with supply for parts, but they said they are much better now, and we're getting very few cars coming back from Merc. Usually have AdBlue faults. There's always something.
Knock sensors, knock sensors. That was the thing. Was on back for years. Massive. But we've had a few knock sensor issues, and I think they seem to be available parts there now. So
crazy because with the GLR product, what happened with them last year with the security issues, it's enticed probably more dealers into them because they look good value for money now.
They do.
Especially on PCPs and things. And you look at
they were mega cheap. They were mega cheap 6 months ago, but
then people get
I think the confidence has come back in the market in them. But they were cheap 6 months ago.
You kind of getting short on them now, though, can you?
Well, that's the next thing, isn't it? Yeah, that's the next thing. We've had quite a few people recently who are buying cars. And they must just be amending their insurance to get the car. And then 6 months later, they're on the phone saying, the insurance has come up for proper renewal now and I can't afford to insure it. Will you buy the car back? We've had
really?
We must get 3 or 4 phone calls, probably maybe 2 or 3 phone calls a week regarding that there, so it's quite difficult to manage, especially someone, buys an A35 or a C63 or whatever it is, or something heavy, and then they can't afford to insure it,
We were speaking to one of our suppliers for the body shop, and he said that a lot of people they're opting to have a bigger excess on their insurance to bring the insurance premium down, so they're paying less, but they're going to take more of a hit on the excess. And then if they were going to have a scrape or a little bump and their excess was say 1,500 quid, where previously it might have been 5, they're now just think, well, we'll just get the paint work done. We'll pay for it ourselves at the body shop. So he says there was a lot more, like private people not like odd little scrapes and scuffs going not through the insurance and just paying for it themselves because they said it worked out better than actually paying the higher premium.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Yeah. What would you say your biggest challenge is at the minute then, David, as a car dealer in your business? What's your biggest pain point?
Pain point.
Yeah,
your biggest challenge.
I think as you grow. I mean, one of the things that I see there now is that we used to have, I think we used to have 7 employees or something like that there now, and then all of a sudden, in not a massive space time, we've got sort of 17, 18. Do you know what I mean? And it's just it's keeping everybody busy, and that's the thing. It's a balancing act. Do you know what I mean? As we said there before, Scott, in an ideal world. I want to go and prep all my cars. I want them sat in the forecourt. We take me home. I know my sales guy would be saying to me, "That's what we want to do, Dave. That's what we want to do. It makes our job easier." But there's got to be a balance, because I don't want to come to a situation whereby it's a little bit quiet and I've got technicians standing around. So it's just a balance point when you look at what everything costs, and to decide which way you want to channel marketing spend, because I mean you could go and spend as much as you can go and spend thousands and thousands and thousands, but you've got to decide what's going to work for me. The biggest struggle is, as I always say, is buying cars, is buying the right cars. That's the biggest hurdle we always have.
Yeah, and I know, well, I'm assuming that most of the stuff that you've actually done on the DealerWay platform so far has been selling your cars. I'm hoping that once the app launches, that you might start buying a few as well, and there might be a bigger selection for you to choose from. So that might be an avenue for you.
We'll always look at it. I guess it's, I've done it for so long now, whereby, the auctions will ring me on a weekly basis. They, we'll give you the login. We'll even do free delivery on this, like as they advertise on a monthly basis or whatever it is. Why don't you try and buy a few cars? And I just, I like to speak to the person I'm buying it off. I like to know who's had the car. And, if you look at our adverts, all our adverts are all bespokely written. The guys know who they bought the car off. And it's just, I've done it. I haven't, done it for 6 months and tried it. I've done it for 10 years consecutively like this, or consistently like this, and it's worked for us. And that's what it just makes me a bit nervous. It's
Yeah, fair enough. Yep. Ambitions. Have you got any ambitions and plans for the future for David James?
No, I mean, you just keep on growing, do what we're doing. I mean, another thing that we've just started doing there now is, which comes with the sort of younger generation and stuff, is part of Unit 15 is going to become a new car ID, which, in fairness, I've had this in my head for probably the last 10 years, probably longer. And we're never in a position to do it. But, when certain people fill certain roles in your business of sort of seniority, it gives you an individual time to look at growing your business in other ways. I guess where I am there now is that I've always sort of not micromanaged people, but I've done a lot of it myself. Whereas recently, over the last sort of 12 months, we've put sort of a person that looks after David James, a person that looks after sales, and then this thing that I am sort of enthusiastic about is a new car ID. So giving a car a new identity. So we are doing in this, because like I said there about the age thing, I've got my eldest boy CJ who works in the business as a buyer. I've got my middle boy who wants to come into the business there as well in some way, shape or form, who's 16 now. And they're all on this TikTok thing. What about this? Why do we do these things of, wrapping cars, giving the car a new identity and stuff there as well. So
so you're talking about like adding spoilers and wheels and tints and things.
Yeah. I mean, we're not gonna do a pimp by ride and stuff there as well or anything like that. But it's just especially our stock. That was my sort of thought process behind it, is that we sort of have sporty executive cars, but Audi S3s, Mercedes A35s, nice coupes and stuff there as well. It plays into an audience of sort of the younger mark, or maybe the 20 to 30 kid who's got a few quid who can afford a 30-odd grand car. Is he going to want it wrapped? Is he going to want it de-chromed? Is he going to want maybe some form of kit or some bigger wheels on? And that's where the new car ID thing will come from. Yeah.
So do you think that'll change your advertising, the way you look at advertising now? Because obviously, if you're looking at a different audience, and obviously look with the change of wheels and blackbacks and stuff like that. Will it be more, instead of looking down the AutoTrader route, are you expanding the TikToks, your social medias, and looking down those avenues? Or
I think we've got to, certainly from a buying point of view, it opens another window where we're buying things, because we're not looking for that black car. We might look at a silver car that we can maybe we can de-chrome and do these bits and bobs, and then how we market it from there is the kids tell me on a sort of day-to-day basis, we should have this with TikTok, we should have that with TikTok. And a couple of the guys that work at a workshop there as well, obviously they follow people on TikTok, and they're sort of saying to me there now, we've sat down and had a chat about it and said, it's not David James, is not just me, it's not David Applegarth, there's a team of us here. What I want you to do is, I want you to come to me with ideas and say, look, this would work good on TikTok. I follow this guy at this garage and he does all these sorts of things. And I've said, well, you set up a TikTok account on the service side, start doing TikTok videos, start doing service videos, and then you can reap the reward from it. You can see that you've started up a David James service page, and you grow with it. You grow the followers with it, and we'll look at some form of remuneration. So I'm always sort of changing, but I guess that's only come from this year when we've put other people in positions to manage departments, as opposed to sort of everything going through me. It's been hard. That's been hard from my point of view as well, mate, to sort of step back a little bit.
To let go is the department, isn't it? You've got to delegate.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's a new world, mind, isn't it? I bet you 10 years ago, if I told you we're going to start trying to promote yourself and selling cars and service packages on TikTok, you say, what's TikTok? It's crazy, isn't it?
I know, it's mad. It's just mad. It is, but
I remember trying to get my car down to AutoTrader. Was it a Monday morning? You used to take it to the actual outside of the AutoTrader. They used to take the photographs for you. You used to get it in the magazine for the Thursday.
and then go pick up the magazine and see if it's in and the advert's right. I know, right? Or the Chronicle advertising, that's what we used to do in the early days there as well. Like, we used to spend £1,000 a month with the Chronicle, and Ken Drake used to come in on whatever it was on a Monday. What adverts do you want in for this week?
To buy a full page.
That's what you used to
Get
do.
your free
aye,
paper.
Aye, that's it.
David, what's your thoughts on AutoTrader? Are you a fan? Do you get a lot of conversion and leads through them? What would you think?
Again, I mean, we've only just started sort of capturing the data from what we haven't. We've done it for years, but we've only really focused on it recently. And I know, you said there before, Scott, you sort of have 50% of people that come back through your website. I think we are still heavily reliant upon AutoTrader.
On AutoTrader,
Yeah, I would have said probably 80% of the business. It's just,
what's your thoughts on the price, Marcus?
it's expensive, but
No, as in the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly, and the price tag on.
I cannot fucking stand it.
Yeah.
Cannot stand it. It's just
Yeah.
it's the bane of my life, It's just and the annoying thing is there as well. I had a TT a couple of weeks ago, and I emailed my rep at the time, and she says, "Oh, this is who you need to speak to." Anyway, I emailed the case, sent a couple of screenshots and stuff there as well, and they came back to us and said, "No, we still believe this car should be sat in high price." Well, it shouldn't have been sat in high price, but all it made me do was reduce the car, reduce the car, and eventually I sold it. But it's just
What's
crazy,
your thoughts when when you price check a car on AutoTrader and you put the price in and it gives you the desirability rating? So you might be like 90%. You think, right, this is great. This car is going to be good news. You get it, you bring it into stock. All of a sudden, your advert views are in the red. And it's not sitting right. It's not performing right. But you think that was good news at the time.
Well, the thing is, from a port point of view, I know it sounds crazy, maybe naive from a point of view, but in the last probably 6 months, we never ever look at portal. We just buy a car. We think this is what we're going to sell it for, and we'll put it up for that price. But we've watched it a little bit because it's become a little bit harder, a little bit more chewy and stuff there as well, is that we are watching cars on a day-to-day basis. But the annoying thing is there sometimes is that if AutoTrader don't take into consideration a specific spec on a car, and that's just what that's just infuriating.
History as well.
Yeah,
because it's limited. Because I know you're saying about your idea where the body kits and wheels and wraps and so on. It would be nice if you could add that value in with AutoTrader. So then the car sat at the right price for what it actually was, rather than just have a tag which says high price, and then you've got to explain why it's high.
Correct. Yeah. It's the same with the spec, and I know AutoTrader does filter the spec. And again, when you build a car on the spec, on dragging whichever way we do it, you can build the spec in, but there's certain bits that are still left out. And at the same time, as he said there before, is that AutoTrader don't know that car was owned by John. He's had the car from brand new. He bought from Mercedes, and he's had every single service done at Mercedes, and he's just had a timing belt done on the car or something like that. You know what I mean? That's the annoying thing. And you'll get this, you as well, Stephen, will get this on a day-to-day basis where people sort of ring up and say, "Yeah, I've seen one 500 quid cheaper down the road." Well, you have, but is it done?
It's not the same.
Nah. How they prepped it the same way as well, though. Like you say, you with that Land Rover you were talking about before, you go and spend £1,000 on it, someone else just sticks an MOT on.
Correct.
That's why they're 500 quid cheaper.
It's frightening, really, what you are saying there. Like 80-90% of your business comes from AutoTrader, and obviously you've done very, very well out of it. It's just, your company is at the behest of another company, really, isn't it? And how they perform and how their ads are shown and what have you. It's frightening, really. And thinking about what your kids were saying and your staff and what have you saying, you should be on TikTok and you should be on this platform. I think you're right in listening to them, because I do think, especially with your type of cars, like sport, performance, prestige, and what have you. I think if you showing them cars off in a different way, especially with video, if you hired like a proper videographer to edit the videos correctly and in all flash and what have you, I think you would capture a different audience, and I think you'd probably gain back a bit more of the the control, not leaving in the hands of the AutoTrader, and you wouldn't have to worry about price markers on certain cars because the cars would show themselves on those platforms.
Correct. Yeah, no,
I think the younger generation, where they might search on Google for a new BMW Newcastle or whatever, but they might not go on AutoTrader to find one. The younger generation, they might be a bit more savvy where they go on social media, and
Yeah.
follow different garages where you can get a bit of an inroad there. Whereas the older generation, it's a brand there, isn't it? AutoTrader, so you always go on there and you check.
It's just frustrating there as well from Facebook there as well and Instagram when they work off algorithms. So
Yeah.
no matter how many followers you've got, sometimes yes, it's going to go to an audience, but it would be nice rather than curb it. Is if you've got 100,000 followers, that image goes to 100,000.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess if that was the case, I would then take control of it myself.
Yeah. They're gonna they make you pay for that though. You know.
Yeah.
I think
That's
our
what
organic
business
reach on
model
a
is.
post on Facebook, we've got some like 65,000 on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our organic reach is about, depends on the post. If it's just a car, about 2,500,
It's a really
which we'll get. That's off the like the insight data.
But that's still good though. That's still quite good.
Well, it's good and
really.
it's free because the audience is so big. So then you've got
Yeah.
the little slice. So, but if you got 100,000, then obviously your slice is bigger. But trying to get the followers on there in the first place is
for sure.
oh, it's hard. It's hard.
See, I don't know how much you know about me, David, but we don't advertise on AutoTrader. We advertise. No, never spent a penny with AutoTrader in years. But we're not advertising cars, really. We're advertising for finance.
Yeah.
See, we're 100% finance penetration.
Mhm.
So we're trying to get people into the finance agreement before we give them a call. So we're spending high five figures every month on Facebook advertising, but it's bringing in the leads, you know. But we do it a total different way to what you do and what Scott does. It just it works for us. It's a different way, you know. I just wanted to be out with the race to the bottom to the price bottom, you know. And that's why we've done what we've done.
Well, that's why that's why we do what we do in relation to buying individual cars. I don't just buy a car to fill a gap. You know, I get up cars on a day-to-day basis, and someone might say, "Oh, why do you just buy that?" I don't want to buy a car just to fill a gap. Try and buy a car because it's got something about it.
Which must be hard when you're trying to buy 40, 50 a month.
It's nails. It's what we do every single day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of cars get offered, but I just don't. If they're not right, I don't buy the car.
Just David, I know we've kept you for a while. I'm just going to ask you a couple more things, if that's okay. And I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but do you have any funny trade stories that you share?
It's one of those ones. I know it's one of those ones where you get put on the spot where you.
I know.
When Scott mentioned it before, I just thought. I said to the lads, "Can you think of anything?" I can't think off the top of my head. I mean, I'll put the phone down and I'll be like, "Oh shit, that guy did this." I think one thing, a couple of ones years ago that go back is when a guy came in a hearse, or he drove all the funeral cars and stuff there as well, and he measured us up. Do you know what I mean? He says, "Why do you lie back in his estate?" Just to see if I can fit the rest of the bodies in and stuff. And then one of the other, when the guy came in to put his part exchange in, he had a Passat estate, and he came in for a test drive, and he parked the car. He says, "Can I park the car on the back?" And he says, "Can you keep an eye on the car?" I says, "Why is that?" He goes, "Because there's one in the back." Well, he went on his test drive. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that was.
Did you go and check?
No, I was terrified. I was scared shitless of it. So even when the car came in part exchange, I didn't.
I was going to say, did you take it and swap?
Well, not a chance. No, we did, but I wasn't going to go and have a look in the back of it. But I've had the other things. I've had the other things when I've been on test drives and like a woman's breastfeeding her child in the back, and I've just turned around and there's a tit lobbed out in the back. I've had that before, you know. It's.
You couldn't think of one before. He's got loads now.
I know.
Anymore. You're on a roll now.
I was going to say the more of these I have, I might end up thinking of it at the moment. I can't think off the top of my head, guys.
And finally, David, have you got any advice for anyone starting out in the motor trade?
Yes, I spoke to a guy actually yesterday who's just starting out, and what he was saying to me there about how he's going to procure stock and stuff there as well. I told him to join your group there as well, because I think there's certain people that buy a lot of my cars. I think if you're on DeaLaway, there's a lot of people like myself who trade a lot of nice cars, which he needs to get involved with. I know he's looked on the likes of Motorway and CarWow and stuff there as well. But I think as a starting point, sort of DeaLaway would get him up and running with the sort of stuff that he wants to buy. But
I think when if you're in a smaller price bracket, you know, like 8 to 10 grand or 6 to 10 grand, and if you list one of your cars, you've got the pictures, you've got the description, you know where you're buying it from. You know, we are the professionals how we list the cars. But I think when I've spoken to some people to do with Motorway and the likes of Carwow, when they're buying that price bracket from somebody who's selling it from the house, the cars are just very seldom described properly.
Correct.
And when they drive down the country with transporters to go and collect them, and they're up against it. So I think what you said to him is probably good. It's good advice, because then you know a bit more in depth about the car.
I think, like I said, there's a bit, like I said to you there from the outset, there'll be a lot of cars that go on DealerWay that there's nothing wrong with. It's just an MOT and on you go. Do you know what I mean? Certainly what we sell, it just doesn't fit our retail criteria. So I've said to him, get on, have a look at them. And I think one of the things on your website there as well that says that you can highlight dealers, so you get notifications if, for example, my cars go on. Things like that. He needs to do things like that to try and get himself a bit of a leg up. Do you know what I mean? With some decent bits.
Have you had many negatives, David, like to do with when you're selling the cars? Maybe people not turning up, or have you found it quite smooth on the whole?
No, we've had quite a few times. I mean, we've had the ones at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night when they've had 10 cans of Stella saying, "I'll give you 23 grand for this car," and then contact them the next day, and that person doesn't exist. He's just gone high. Well, changed his profile. He's changed his profile picture to a cat overnight or something like that.
So why the cat?
The infamous cat.
Just disappeared. But no, apart from that, it's been smooth. We have again quite a few people who have come from down the country, arrived, and then try to renegotiate and stuff, and then they enjoy the drive back home or the train back home, whichever way it is. So
it's probably how they set out those people, though, isn't it? They probably set out to do that before they left.
I think that's across the board, isn't it? Unfortunately,
could you be bothered though?
Well, I couldn't.
No,
I couldn't. I think I'd be making sure I knew what I was buying before I got there. Do you know what I mean? That's the
exactly.
I get why you try to do that with a customer. You know, if you're buying a car from like a Motorway or a Carwow, and you're trying to chip a customer at the door, especially off their descriptions, but not another dealer. You know, just wouldn't have in my head that.
Well, it's just the questions you would ask, wouldn't it? What's it like? And you say there's a video before I go and stuff, so at least you know when you arrive what you're expecting. But you're right, there's somewhat to drive 200 mile to get there, and then think they're going to try and knock a grand off the price away. Yeah, I'm over the moon when I'm over the moon when they ask where the local metro station is, and they're just enjoy your train back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right, dear, that's fantastic. I really appreciate your time today. We'll let you get back to your holiday.
Yes, great talking to you, David. Thank you. And you'll be out tonight?
I were at Lobster Club tonight.
Oh, you're going there? Oh, you'll enjoy that. You get a
we're
big
there the
bill
other
there.
night.
Oh, yeah.
I got a big bill the other night, and I've looked up punishment. I'm going back again now.
Yeah, well, I was
pretty
there
nice.
I went twice last time I was there, and I thought it was that good, but it was it was very pricey.
Yes, it was. I had the lobster thermidor the other night, so I'm not going to have that again. I'm just going to maybe have some bread and alioli or something.
They specialise in the lobster rule.
Well, I'll not be having that tonight.
It's about 30 bar.
Oh.
Keep off that one.
Very good.
All right, Gus, well, enjoy, mate. Thank you.
Enjoy, mate. Thanks very much, David.
Lovely.
Cheers.
Cheers, David.
Thanks so much, guys.
And
Cheers.
thanks, everyone. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye now.